Charles.
Present.
Wiper.
Here.
Markham.
Here.
Cavell.
Here.
Spiz.
Present.
Miller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Thank you. We'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We need a motion to approval of the minutes from
So moved.
October 6th. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, second by Commissioner Charles. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we need the approval of the agenda. Moved by Commissioner Charles, second by Commissioner Wiper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Ayes have it. Public comment. Anybody from the public would like to speak?
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome. Go ahead, yeah, right, I'm sorry, right up there. I will,
Speak into the microphone.
yep, yeah, talk to the microphone, state your name and just
Good
welcome.
morning, everyone. I'm
Morning.
Prince Miles Ill. I'm currently a write-in candidate for Pontiac City Council, District 7, and I'm here to learn a lot more. I've been studying the economic outlook for Oakland County over the last 14 days or so. I've been doing a lot of investigation on the financial future or direction of the city of Pontiac. And I'm here to learn how to better build a relationship with the county that allows us to start the process of developing that financial forecast or foresight or outlook for the city of Pontiac. We need to have some kind of direction, and I'm looking for the county partners here to help us develop that direction. Pontiac, as you all know, obviously is the capital of Oakland County, and it's imperative that we stay on beat or on task with the county if we're talking about a recovery. Over the last, since 2012, based on the outlook, the county has been growing exponentially with a few minor setbacks, but nevertheless, it's been growing. And so Pontiac needs to grow with the county. It's really tough. I'm on the ground floor. And as a result of the lack of control to control our economy, to understand, to control our destiny, it's very impactful to the community in a fatal way. We've been unable to recover with the rest of the county, and we need some support and some help to make sure that our citizens and residents have an opportunity to recover, to be re-enfranchised to their city civic affairs and civic obligations, and more control. And I know it's a measure of trust. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm running for office. And I've been involved in the community for, a very long time. My mother served on the school board for 11 years. My stepfather is Eversea. He served as a city councilman for 24 years in the same district. So and then also I'm a mentee of Frank Russell, the late, great Frank Russell. So I have a lot of wisdom and education on the subject matter here, and I'm looking to start the process to build a greater relationship that allows Pontiac to recover financially, so we can start mitigating some of these issues that's happening on the ground, which is really a lot of gun violence, which is supported by poverty. The poverty issues is killing us down here, and we need some support. So I'm here to advocate for my entire community, not just a district, but to say, hey, we're here, we are responsible, we have a lot of integrity behind us. We have pulled people together from all over our community, a lot of genius minds, a lot of genius citizens to help push and propel Pontiac forward with the rest of the county. And I think that we're in a prime position for recovery. And so if we can get the necessary support and trust factor established to help us move in the direction that we seek. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a economic development infrastructure special tone. Thank you for coming for public comment. Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll call the public comment closed. Communications, any communications? Not seeing any communications. So now we have the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Resolution, fiscal year 2022 appropriations with the Charter Township of Independence for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program, project number 56051. We also have Resolution Fiscal Year 2022 appropriations with the Charter Township of Independence for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program, project number 56411. And we have our Resolution Fiscal Year 2022 appropriation with the City of Royal Oak for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program, project number 5644. Get a motion moved by Commissioner Wiper, seconded by Commissioner Markham.
And can we prompt the vote?
Yes, please. Prompt the vote, please.
Oh, I had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Commissioner Charles.
Yeah, these items show up on the consent agenda, and I'm just curious how they arrive under consent. I thought maybe someone might pop up on the screen at some point, but is it just?
So we do a lot of these, right? And it was agreed on early on, I don't know if it was the end of this term or last term, that we'd put them all on the consent agenda, because there could be sometimes that we have 20 or 30 at one time.
Okay.
And they're all tri-party, right? So it's, us, the road commission, and the entity, city, township, village, that puts in money. Instead of going through, it's always good for the county. So instead of having a whole discussion on it or having everybody speak on it, because they're the same thing. But we can always, if you see one that you want to pull off and put on the regular agenda, we can also do that as well.
Okay. It sounds to me that it has gone through all of various checkpoints, and then it arrives here for us.
Correct.
So it looks like a multitude of eyes have hit it. Okay, I'm ready to vote.
All right. Anybody else have any discussion want to add to that, or? All right. Prompt the vote, please.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, while we're waiting, I'd just like to make the point that each of these projects that are under this this tri-party are defined by the local community. They're the ones who say, this is the piece of road that we want fixed. So
Thank you for
just so
that.
everybody understands that.
Vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Jerry, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. So now we have the regular agenda. The first agenda item is Central Service Aviation 2021 Rehabilitation Runway, NL/26R Reconstruction Runway Lighting, 9L/27R, including guidance signs, construction taxiway, L rehabilitation transway, design grant acceptance.
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Spitz, seconded by Commissioner Markham. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. This is Cheryl Bush with the Aviation Division, Central Services, and we're seeking grant acceptance for the eloquent version of the grant that you just described, Commissioner Miller. It is a continuation of a construction project out here at Oakland County International Airport. We just completed our main runway, and this will lead into our parallel runway. This grant is 100% federally funded, so no out-of-pocket from local or state sources. It's in the amount of $410,078. It's been through and completed the grant review process, and it will lead into construction following in 2023.
Any discussion? I just had one question. Is this the same one where we put the money up front and then the federal government reimburses us?
No,
Okay.
This is not a reimbursable agreement. This will be funded from the federal government 100% and with no contribution by the county.
Excellent. Thank you so much. If we have no other discussion, we'll call the roll.
And I vote yes.
Thank you. Jerry, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next agenda item, we have economic development, business development, approving the provisions of brownfield plan for the, is it Sakura Novi City of Novi project. We need a motion. Moved by Commissioner Markham, second by Commissioner Wiper. Any discussion?
Brad's going to give us a lowdown, right?
Yes, Brad, you hear Brad? Or, yeah.
Can you hear me? I just logged on my phone. I'm having
Yeah.
computer issues where I couldn't hear you guys.
So we're on the agenda item for the approving the brownfield provision.
Okay, I apologize about that.
No worries.
Technical issues. Did you already have a motion? You ready for me to discuss?
Yes, sir, the floor is
Or
yours.
go over? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, commissioners. This is for the Sakura Novi project. It's 4 parcels in the city of Novi on Grand River and 11 Mile and Town Center Drive. It's a 17-acre mixed-use project, retail, office, and townhomes. It's about a $50 million overall investment. The properties are considered a facility or adjacent or contiguous to a facility, meaning it's contaminated. The brownfield calls for $850,000 in reimbursement and eligible activities with up to an 8-year payback. The main components of the $850,000 is the removal of contaminated soil at $294,000 and special foundations at $270,000. So that's just a basic overview. I'll be happy to answer any questions or hear any concerns of the commissioners. Thank you.
Commissioner Spitz.
Make sure I push my button. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brad, just for my education, what is the contamination at that site? Do we know? What was there prior to that caused the contamination? Speculate.
I do have the information. Let me try to find it real quick. I believe it's not overly contaminated. There was fill materials that was brought in by a former trucking. So there's contamination in the soils that need to be removed. I don't know exactly what, without going through the brownfield plan, I'm not sure exactly what the contamination is. I think it's heavy metals, if I recall correctly.
All right.
I can try to pull it up real quick and answer it.
Okay, yeah. Since they're putting a residential there, I just thought it'd be a little bit more important for us to understand exactly what's there, since the residential's going there versus an industrial complex or something else.
And it's important to point out when the residential is involved in a brownfield project, it is, the state requires pretty much the highest standards for cleanup. So that's why you're seeing the removal of the contamination. Mm-hmm. And it might be where the residentials are going is not exactly where the contamination is. Because in this case, there's 4 parcels, but 3 of the parcels are being combined to 1. Mm-hmm. So 3 of the parcels have very limited contamination. It's the one parcel by the pond that has the majority of the contamination, and I don't believe the residential is going specifically on that parcel. But again, to my point, when there is residential on a project like this, the state has the highest requirements as far as cleanup, and their testing needs to be done in order to move forward on the project to make sure all the contaminations have been removed.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Markham.
Yeah, I just want to make a couple of points. One is this is a piece of property on Grand River that's been empty and kind of blighted for quite a while, so I am glad to see progress on it. And one question I had about the funding of this, I just want to be clear that this is a tax capture. Is that correct? So we're going to capture the taxes for up to 8 years and use that money to pay back the brownfield remediation. Is that correct?
That is correct. The increased taxable value from the base will be captured and reimbursed to the developer over a set number of years. You're absolutely correct on that.
Okay, thank you. It's 5 years?
Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up on Commissioner.
Go ahead. We're just happy, so go ahead.
Cool. Just to follow up on Commissioner Markham's question made me think the tax capture is coming from property taxes of this property that the city of Novi would have received, or the county of Oakland would have received, or both?
All taxing parcels. So all taxing parcels that are associated with this property, the base level will still go to the current taxing jurisdictions, but the increased value of the property once the development is underway and finished will be captured and reimbursed to the developer. So that's city, township, ISD. They'll also be going to the state Eagle to get state school support on this project as well. That's why it's such a shorter payback period.
So you said city, township, ISD, Eagle, but you didn't say count and county.
I'm sorry. Instead of township, I should say county. It's city,
Okay.
county, ISD,
Okay,
and school taxes. Correct.
thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Thanks for helping me learn this.
Commissioner Charles.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Hanson. I just wanted to double check on the cadence of how these things arrive. Is it fair to say that the city of Novi, or when we ever have these brownfield projects, why does it land in the county's purview? Is it because they look for us to provide resources? I'm just interested in knowing, does any development where there's some brownfield happening where do they have to always come to the county? Thank you.
No, not a lot of communities. A few of our communities, of our 61 or 62 communities, have their own brownfield authorities. So if that's the case, they majority of the time will run it through their own authority. However, there are some instances where even if they do have their own authority, they'll look for certain expertise that the county can provide, or it's a troublesome project and we might have a little bit more experience to handle it. And even if they have their own authority, I'm here to help them. Help them get it passed. But for the majority of the communities that don't have their authority, they reach out to the county for the use of the Oakland County's BRA.
Thank you. That helps.
Any other discussion? I had a couple questions. Well, first, a statement. I do appreciate your comment about the contaminant and what we're putting there, Commissioner Spiz. I do know there's a school, I believe it's like Dearborn or something like that, that the school was built on some contaminated soil and they had to close it down. So I do appreciate that ask there, Commissioner Spiz. Also, an ask, so with these brownfields, are they going through the county's responsive bidder policy?
I'm not sure what that is, in all honesty. As far as through purchasing, as far as getting the contractor to work on the site, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Well, so we're giving money, right? So we should have some kind of say that they're using good contractors and doing the job properly. So that's something definitely I'm concerned about, especially the millions of dollars that we're pouring out on these brownfields. We want to make sure they're done right. And especially when you're remediating contaminated soil, we want to make sure that's done properly and it's all captured. So that's one of the questions I have. Definitely bring it up again. But I'd see that. I do know. I will stop my comments. I do see Commissioner Markham is on. Okay, so Commissioner Wiper, then Commissioner Spiz. Oh, you okay? Yeah, Jerry.
Can I answer your?
Brad, can I ask a question? Phil Wiper here, and we can see you now. The way it works, we reimburse the developer after they incur the cost. So they actually do all the bidding. It's through their sources, right? So we're not in control because it's a reimbursement program. Is that correct?
Correct. It's reimbursed. The developer puts up all the money up front and gets paid back slowly. Some of these projects can stretch out for a big amount of years, up to 30 years, but this one's a shorter payback period. But you're absolutely correct, Commissioner, that the developer puts all the money up front. They're responsible for hiring their contractors, going through their bid process. I will say, though, however, with brownfield projects with contamination, as I stated earlier, it needs to be documented as far as the contamination cleanup in order to get eligibility to build on the site, just because, especially with housing, you need to document that the contamination has removed by removing the soil, then going back and testing it and providing it to the State Eagle Department for their confirmation of that before they'll get okay to build. So there is that little bit of safety there as far as the removal of contamination. But back to Commissioner Wiper's question or statement, yes, that is absolutely correct that they pay for it up front and get reimbursed.
And just follow, probably as being contaminated, it's highly regulated. There's not only is there documentation that has to be provided to the state and environmental, but So it's really followed, and there's probably a limited number of companies that are taking away environment into the regulated places. Is that true?
Yeah, it's the majority of the time, the consultant, environmental consultant that's working on this is one of our 4 pre-approved consultants that went through the bid process to help Oakland County out with projects like this. So we do have 4 environmental consultants on, that went through the purchasing process and got selected.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner, are you still up, Commissioner Markham? I see you're still on.
No,
Oh, okay.
I asked my question.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is kind of to echo or bounce off of what Chair Miller was asking, because I think if I understood his question right, does the county, and I guess you answered it by saying you don't know about this, but does the county have in place, or does the county have authority to have a say in who is eligible to bid on projects like this if they are benefiting from the taxpayers of Oakland County in the form of this tax capture, right? So responsible bidding is thinking about prevailing wage and who's actually doing the work and who gets the contract. So is it someone that's going to be paid $12 an hour to do the work, or is it someone who's going to get paid $20 an hour to do the work? And do we have a say in that?
No.
Okay.
That's my understanding. No, we do not.
Okay. Well, we should talk to the court counsel then. figure it
So,
out.
so I would follow up with that is saying, to just refine that question that Commissioner Cavell had. I think what we're trying to get at is with us approving brownfield and the brownfield policy, I believe the county has the right to add county policies to it. We can't say who they hire or who they contract with, but we can say if you're going to apply for brownfield, and well, of course, we have to talk to court counsel, but I believe that you can say, you can have policies in there saying you have to follow these steps as well to make sure everything's being fairly done and it's done right. Because, and to go to Commissioner Wipers, I do know there's a major city that they were removing asbestos and that company was dumping it in another place that they're working in the city. So you can document that you took it out, but it's not necessarily saying that you're dumping it in the proper spot. So.
Commissioner, good morning. Hi. I just wanted to jump in real quickly, just to piggyback off of some of the things Brad said. One of the things that's come up in recent conversation with the executive team is looking at and evaluating the county's TIF policy in general. So as it pertains to DDAs, brownfield, and other areas. So this has been a topic of conversation about just revisiting, because right now we are currently using and following policy that was adopted a long time ago, from the prior administration. So we are going through that process of collecting the information, putting together a white paper to see if there are things like you're just insinuating and talking about, whether there are some things that we want to add or reevaluate moving forward.
Thank you. Is there a timeline on that when we're looking at that? I mean, I don't want to say that we're just looking at it and it could be 5-10 years. I think it should be sooner than later.
It's happening. I mean, we're moving fast. So for instance, I have a meeting tomorrow morning with equalization and court counsel. So we are actually going through that right now, hoping in the next week or two to be talking to leadership about this. And so, yeah, we are moving quickly because we have on separate topics, we have communities coming forward with several TIF projects, requests for amendment changes, things like that, that are coming down the pipeline. So we need to make sure that we're evaluating this and moving forward in a way that everyone is comfortable with.
All right. Did you have a question?
It was kind of yours, but so then, do you think Ingrid, in a month or 60 days, you'll have the white paper so we could look at it, or what? You open Pandora's box here by saying that. So when do you think it might be?
I'm not sure, Commissioner. I mean, we're moving as fast as we can. I just don't want to make promises. I don't want to write a check I can't cash, but I want to assure you that it's not something that will take months and months and months. I mean, it's something we want to move on for very quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the roll, please. I don't like that. I like call the roll.
Wipert?
Yes.
Thank
See, we
you.
still have to call it.
Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. I would request that this goes on the regular agenda so we can still have continued dialogue on this. And then there will be a public hearing set, Oakland County Board of Commissioners meeting October 28th at 6 o'clock for the resolution approving the provisions of the Brownfield Plan for the Secura, am I saying that right? Novi City of Novi project. Thank you. So now we, no other agenda items. We have, yep, thank you, guys. We have public comment. Anybody from the public looking to speak? Anybody from the public looking to speak for our second public comment? I'm hearing none. We'll call public comment closed at this time. Any other business?
I have a
Commissioner Cavell.
question. Yeah. As we start thinking about ARP things, I noticed that the executive has come a couple times to talk to Finance Committee and say, hey, we just want to throw this idea out there to y'all. Give us your feedback in the committee meeting. Is that something that is applicable to these committees? Is this something that we'd be open to, right, if we're talking about things related to the EDI committee? What am I trying to say? Would love to get feedback on ideas that we have. Is this a good place to do that? Would everyone like that? Or is this not how we want to do things? And I've talked to Chair Woodward, and I think he's kind of said, like, get the pulse of the room. If people like it, sure. If people don't care, we'll do it our way.
Yeah. I would say anything pertaining to economic development infrastructure for sure. But if it's finance or, anything else, I would say those committees be the proper ones to talk up to them about it.
But so if, the Distressed Communities Fund, if that comes for just conversation, let's just talk about it. That's something that everyone's open to in EDI, just to hear feedback so we can mark it up before.
And if it's looking for ARP money, I would bring it to that subcommittee.
Okay,
Right?
yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other business? Seeing none, we'll call the adjournment at 10:06. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So my password worked on this device.
Did it?
Did not work here.
So if you reset your password at
Now I'm
home
gonna-
and not
now
here,
reset it.
that's what it would be.
I don't know. I always reset mine at home.
No,
And I-
it worked here. It worked. I dug this out and it worked.
Yeah. I'm talking about what Miller said.
Policies too, as we kicked it around, they changed it, they come back to